Recorded Books and One Click Digital present War of Two, Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, and the Duel That Stunned the Nation, by John Sedgwick. Narrated by P.J. Ochlan. The powers of Hyde seemed to have grown with the sickliness of Jekyll, and certainly the hate that now divided them was equal on each side. With Jekyll, it was a thing of vital instinct. He had now seen the full deformity of that creature that shared with him some of the phenomena of consciousness, and was co-heir with him to death. And beyond these links of community, which in themselves made the most poignant part of his distress, he thought of Hyde, for all his energy of life, as of something not only hellish, but inorganic. Robert Louis Stevenson, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Author's Note. One fall afternoon, several years ago, I was in the reading room of the Massachusetts Historical Society, a splendid brick bastion in Boston's leafy Fenway neighborhood. I was prowling through the Society's extensive collection of Sedgwick family papers for a book I was writing about my family's history, when the head librarian, Peter Drummy, came up and tapped me on the shoulder and said he had something to show me. "We've got this one on display up front," he whispered. "Come, you should see it." He led me through a series of rooms to an exhibition space showing the Society's prized holdings in long glass cases. Peter stopped beside one of them and pointed toward a wrinkled letter, yellowed with age, its once black ink long since faded to brown, that was propped up on glass. "There. Take a look." I bent over the case. "New York, July 10th, 1804. I read out. "My dear Sir, I have received 2 letters from you since we last saw each other, that of the latest date being the 24th of May. I have had in hand for some time a long letter to you, explaining my view of the course and tendency of our politics, and my intentions as to my own future conduct. But my plan embraced so large a range that, owing to much avocation, some indifferent health, and a growing distaste for politics, the letter is still considerably short of being finished. I write this now to satisfy you that want of regard for you has not been the cause of my silence." "Wait. This isn't—" I asked. Peter nodded. "Yes. Alexander Hamilton's last letter, written the night before he was shot. By the sitting Vice President Aaron Burr, he need hardly have added, in the famous duel at Weehawken, New Jersey, in 1804, an event that Henry Adams called the most dramatic moment in the politics of the early republic. And look, it's to one of yours," he beamed. "His good friend and legislative ally Theodore Sedgwick. Of course, the name was scrawled hastily across the bottom. I'd known about the letter, but I'd never seen it. Theodore was my great-great-great-grandfather. A career politician, he'd helped push Hamilton's economic agenda through the House when he was a representative from Massachusetts, and ultimately rose to become Speaker of the House for the fateful election of 1800 that wrested control away from his Federalist Party and turned it over to Thomas Jefferson and the Republican Jacobins, as he thought of them, alluding to the bloodthirsty radicals of the French Revolution. Much to Hamilton's distress, Theodore had tried fruitlessly to steer the election to Burr, a friend from the Berkshires. Still, Theodore had been one of the only politicians who'd remained a trusted friend of both men, which was why Hamilton was writing him then. We will return to the letter later, in its time. Taken out of context, it may seem tangential and, unusually for Hamilton, wildly overblown. It is likely to defy expectations as to why Hamilton crossed the Hudson at daybreak and faced his doom. In a few choice sentences, Hamilton offered a better explanation about his part in the duel, and a better prediction of what would come from it, than he did anywhere else. Theodore Sedgwick never responded, since by then there was no one to
Sample complete. Ready to continue?